Your colon is your inner garden. It's literally the same concept, and you want the most diversity. All disease starts in the gut. They're starting to see the gut microbiome, how much it affects your mood and also your immune system. It's completely connected to your immune system. In fact, some people even say your immune system is your microbiome. 97% of Americans are not getting the bare minimum of fiber. Just every time you eat, just know you're not just eating for you, you're eating for trillions of other living beings that depend on you.
Our potential, it's exponential.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode. I'm here with my buddy Jason. The Fiber King is in the building. Bro, thank you for coming out.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. You know, I'm a fan of the show.
Yeah, dude, you knew who I was. That was crazy. But bro, tell us why I brought you here. You know about the microbiome. Mm-hmm. You chef it up. You brought these beautiful snacks, Middle Eastern delicacies out of your kitchen.
Of course.
Beautiful homegrown. We were talking about just, nutrient density and microbiology. So tell us, brother, why are you here? What brought you to learning about fiber?
Learning about fiber? Well, one of my earliest memories growing up was climbing on the kitchen counter. My father's cooking, and I see this spice rack. And I was just learning to read, so I'm like trying to make out the words like clove, ginger, and just opening all them up and smelling it and just getting this, this connection with these spices.
When you were like a little boy?
Like 4 years old, 4 years old. And my father was always cooking and taking me shopping. Like, he would do all the cooking, my father. So we would go shopping together. And he would let me go off on my own and like grab foods, and I would bring it back to him. And he would check, like if it had artificial ingredients, he would be like, no, it has artificial ingredients. So I learned to read artificial colors and flavors, So from a young age, I've been checking labels and cooking with him.
Wow, it was kind of part of your culture in your house.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was just this thing. And
reading ingredients.
Exactly. And it's funny because now I feel like that's one of my biggest missions now is, you see these labels. Like you go into the supermarket, like if it's an avocado or a spinach, you know what's in it, right? But if it's a, package, the cover is going to make you, it's all marketing. It's going to make you think like, it's going to be like natural. It's going to draw you in. It's appealing to your unconscious mind.
Wow.
Whereas when you turn around and look at the label and you start reading it, now you see what's actually in there. You're bringing your conscious mind. You're making a conscious choice. You're not just going with your emotions. So that's something I teach now. Exactly, the rational.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, dude, that's beautiful. Reading the ingredients, that's part of your mission. Mm-hmm. And dude, we were getting into it because like you said, that's feeding your microbiome. We're just feeding that little community of microbiology. So this is the most exciting thing I could talk.
So imagine a community, a beautiful community. Everybody's outside, growing their own food, barefoot in the dirt. Kids are playing, friends, and then at night, the fire starts. People are telling stories, dancing, singing, playing drums, right? Everybody loves this vision, right? And everyone in this community, every single person has a uniqueness that is encouraged by everybody to bring out your uniqueness, share your uniqueness. So imagine if everybody is sharing their uniqueness, the possibilities of what could happen in this society, what could be created, how good the quality of life could be, right? You could see that vision, right?
Oh yeah, everyone matters.
Exactly, diversity, right? Instead of feeling like, our society like favors, like certain people get very rich because of certain characteristics, but here all the characteristics are appreciated and work together. So now take that same vision, which would be great on the human level, and inside of every one of our guts is a similar thing, is the same idea. So you have
the whole village.
It's like there's trillions of them.
Wow.
There's trillions and trillions. In fact, the number of bacteria in your gut outnumber the human cells in the rest of your body. So there's actually more of them in your gut, and we're the host. Our job is to feed them, And what we feed them will change the whole ecosystem.
Right.
And every one of them, they each like a different food. Like one bacteria species will like broccoli best. Another one will like oats. They eat plants. Well, they eat everything, but based on the food they eat, you will breed that bacteria.
Right.
And they each produce what's called metabolites, or like chemicals.
Okay.
And the other bacteria eat their byproducts. So they're all producing things and eating things and producing. And this is happening billions of times per second.
Oh my goodness.
Literally like
People
billions.
gotta let that, and that's happening all the time.
It's happening right
It's
now.
not like, oh, when we eat dinner. So guys, just to like, and by the way, this is happening in the soil all the time too.
The
That's
soil.
why I feel so connected to, food. It's the same thing, brother.
I was going to get there after, but that's,
Yeah, no,
like
that
if
was
you
so
look at
good,
if
bro.
you look at your colon,
Yeah,
think about
yeah.
how we make good soil.
Yeah.
You put poop in the soil, right? So it's the same idea. Like it's like if you have healthy gut microbiome, you're putting the poop in the soil. You're putting the microbe because if you know, right? If you don't have,
that's what you mean. You feed it.
it's the same thing. Your colon is your inner garden. It's literally the same concept, and you want the most diversity, right?
Yeah,
So if they're all producing all these things, and the sum total of all of these reactions happening billions of times per second is called your gut brain. It's actually a brain. Wow. And these bacteria do so many things. We're just beginning to understand it. But one of the things they do is produce serotonin, the grounding neurotransmitter, dopamine, GABA. So they're literally, what you eat changes the environment, and they're producing chemicals which make us feel good and motivated. Not to mention,
of course, yeah, you feel it, yeah.
and you know about the gut feeling, right? Like the gut feeling. So if you have a healthy community where all the members, are using their uniqueness and sharing and thriving, you're going to have more intuition because you're going to have a stronger gut brain. You're literally growing your brain.
Right, clear channel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you, man.
Exactly.
Boy, that's amazing. Yeah, so the gut brain, and by the way, of course,
Yeah.
That's and then when
It's
you
so simple.
When you say gut intuition,
Mm-hmm. Gut feeling.
that's what that comes from. That your gut feeling. Mm-hmm. But even deeper, it's almost, I'm thinking about think about because this is all new, right? Microbiology.
I mean, it's old, obviously,
Yeah,
but
of course,
seriously,
of
you're
course.
right. You're absolutely right. This is the most exciting thing in biology, in health. Only about 15 years ago, we knew that you needed, there was a connection, like you take antibiotics, eat some yogurt, they used to say, take some probiotics, because for gut health. And yes, we can go so deep.
No,
into
we
this.
can't. And by the way, our ancestors knew a lot of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's
they were
new.
fermenting.
That's what I mean.
Exactly.
Well, us in the West.
Well, the science has finally
Yeah.
caught up. Like Hippocrates, Ayurveda says all disease starts in the gut. They knew this, and but now about 15 years ago, they're starting to see the gut microbiome, how much it affects your mood and also your immune system. Right. It's completely connected to your immune system. In fact, some people even say your immune system is your microbiome.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like it's so connected to it. Wow. It's like a third immune system.
Wow.
Yeah.
It basically directs it or whatever.
It's so complicated. I don't even barely understand
It's
it.
right,
And even,
man.
but it's basically these bacteria turn your genes on and off. Think about that. So when I grew up, it was all like everything's genetic, right? Like, oh, you have good genes, you're gonna be healthy.
Yeah, he's got good genes.
Exactly. That was the thing, right? Turns out your genes are like a blueprint, and your cell is like a factory, and it's constantly printing out what's in the blueprint. And so your
Little cells.
Yeah, these cells are so complicated. I mean,
Wow. but the DNA is the blueprint.
the DNA is the blueprint.
Yeah.
So the cell can produce all different types of proteins and send it out. So it's crazy how that whole works. Again, so it's a whole nother community. We talked about the gut community.
Yeah.
All the cells in your body are also a community.
Right.
But
we're just talking about the digestive system. ladies and
exactly.
gentlemen.
we're not like a person. We're actually like a colony of cells but just so it's like a blueprint. But the microbiome have the ability, and also our emotions and also our lifestyle have the ability to turn the factory off. So we have the blueprint. We are stuck with our genes, but our microbiome affects how these genes are expressed.
Right.
And furthermore,
Turning them on and off.
exactly.
Yeah.
Furthermore, like you can't change your DNA, right? But every time you eat, you can change your microbiome, and they each have DNA. So we call it, when we use the word microbiome as opposed to the genome is all our genes.
Got it.
The microbiome is the sum total of all of the genes of all of the bacteria. So it completely outnumbers our genome, and we could change that through our lifestyle.
I've never thought of that before. Incredible. And we're the host.
We're the host, yeah. They depend on us to feed them.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So tell us, what got you? So obviously fiber is important
Yeah.
if you're this deep into it. But what else? I mean, I think about feeding it, fungi. Like we eat so many different things. Like let's go wherever we want. Wherever you want to go. But yeah, why is fiber important? That's my main question.
Okay, so the fiber is important for many reasons. Like it helps you go to the bathroom.
That's what they said.
That was the whole thing. Like
Eat oatmeal, you gotta go right away.
Exactly. That's what they say is like when most people think of fiber, like my grandmother, it was always if you're constipated, right?
Right.
But now again, we understand.
There's like a supplement or something for that to them.
Yeah, and it works. It's been used forever, but now we understand. Again, every different piece of fiber is going to feed a different bacteria. It's literally like so when we eat food, right?
Celery.
Yeah. So
fibrous, right? It's
exactly.
made of fiber.
But even you'd be surprised, like oats, there's different types of fiber. Like really the most rich source of fiber is beans, lentils, like the legume family. So like when you eat, let's say you eat a bean, right?
Okay.
Beans have a little bit of fat, a lot of protein, carbs, and fiber, right? So we always hear about fat, protein, and carbs. We don't really hear about the fiber part. So you eat the beans, you eat a bunch of beans. They go into your stomach, they start getting broken down. Then it goes into your small intestine. In the small intestine, the carbs, the proteins, and the fats are going to be absorbed into the body.
Got you.
But the fiber does not get broken down. That's what fiber is. It's indigestible.
It's another makeup of the bean.
Exactly.
It's part of that makeup.
And it doesn't get digested in the small intestine. It goes into the large intestine.
Keeps going.
And then the microbiome eat it. So they eat fiber. We like fat. Our human cells need fat, protein, and carbs. But the microbiome eat fiber. And that's what's so cool. There's something, when you eat a big thing of beans, right? A high fiber meal.
Yeah.
You feel good.
Oh, yeah.
2 hours later, the microbiome is now feasting on all this fiber. They're releasing serotonin. Wow. So now you get this, it's called the second meal effect. It's as if you just ate another meal because you're actually getting energy from them and serotonin. So you're getting good feelings. So yeah. Whereas if you eat a low fiber meal, like you eat a steak with butter on it, you're going to get a really fast high from all, because when you eat high salt, fat foods, you get a high dopamine rush. But
right away.
Yeah. But then when it gets into your small intestine, it gets broken down and there's no fiber to feed the microbiome. So what happens? You're going to be hungry in 2 hours. Whereas if you eat the fiber, you're going to feel good and you're going to stay satisfied for much longer.
Yeah. Wow. But all right. So guys, you probably know this too from watching my show. I've had on the carnivores, the vegans, and now you're saying, it's so interesting. Everyone has valid points.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, it's like, what would the people who say they eat a couple steaks a day and they're perfect, or they, juice and they say, there's all this,
you want to get controversial.
Why would, and then some people say beans are bad. That's why.
The lectins.
Certain, what would you say to that? No, seriously, like to someone who was like, hey, that's why people in certain regions where they have beans are overweight or something.
Well, can I tell you my story?
Is that true? Yeah.
No, that's not true.
I don't think that's true.
No. People who eat beans, they did like huge studies, like of the biggest studies show that people who eat beans live on average 7 years longer.
that right?
Yeah, beans and barley have been shown like from a food, but also there's lifestyle, community.
Do they both have a lot of fiber?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they have like oats have a interesting type of fiber called beta glucans, which are also in mushrooms. So again, this is so complicated. Like these fibers, these beta glucans do again, I can't even understand this yet, but they feed a certain bacteria which boosts our immune system. So yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't go to school for this, my man here.
Exactly.
But brother, yeah.
But can I tell my story about?
Tell me the story. Yeah.
Because you asked about the carnivore and like, so my story was like, I grew up
living 7 years longer. That was
But I was gonna say with you asked me about the carnivore people and like, because I want to share like, again. I think with the carnivore, like, let's see what happens in 20 years. It's kind of a new experiment.
Right.
But
we have to see how these things play out.
Exactly.
It's like a garden. Like, hey, we have this new garden idea. I think about that. Well, we don't know for like 16 weeks.
Exactly.
8 weeks.
It's a perfect example. Like if it's either going to work or it's not going to work. You're going to see the tangible evidence.
Yeah.
That's how I look at things. But I started standard American diet, sick, and I had a really, really bad gut. Like painful gut since I was like 10 years old.
Really?
Yeah. So then, my grandfather had a health food store actually in the 70s. So like,
no way.
I had exposure to this. I knew there was like a connection between food and health, but I barely knew anything. I took some nutrition in college and I was doing a lot of studying. And
it was before you learned all this stuff. Yeah, you were a kid. Yeah, you were a kid.
I was a kid. I'm just
eating chicken wings
all
the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I ate a lot of like grilled cheese and macaroni and cheese. Like that was my thing. I love cheese.
That's American, right? That's what I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was like,
jeez.
I got into college. I just started trying to experiment with different things. I found Ayurveda. I did this diet. And I was impressed. I was actually like, wow, we can take control of our health because most people just like eat whatever they want, whatever feels good. And then if you get sick, you go to the doctor, they give you a drug, so I was like, oh, we can take control of our health. This is like the beginning of my journey.
Did your pain go away?
No.
Okay.
It went away it went away temporarily. That's the great part of the story. So then I'm noticing my gut hasn't gone away. My body I'm still having fat in areas like I don't want it. Something is not right. So I started researching. I went to a health convention. At that time, paleo was the craze. So for 1 year, I ate nothing but like meat,
nuts,
turkey, some nuts.
Or no.
Yeah, nuts, raw eggs, and greens and berries. I wasn't even eating oranges because I was like too many carbs. So that was like, I did that for like a whole year.
Paleo. Raw eggs.
Wow. Yeah, it was disgusting. It was like the worst time of my life food-wise, but I'm like, this is what we have to eat. This is the human diet. This is what...
And you were probably looking for solutions, like answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to, be healthy and be able to share with people because I always wanted to share health with people, but I wasn't going to do it until I really found I found the right thing. So that's why there's been a long journey. So after a while on the paleo, I hear about the keto diet. This is like, over 10 years ago. Now it's like everybody knows keto diet, but this is kind of was like in certain circles. So I started eating butter, like tons and tons and tons of butter, like every day, like
butter in your
bone
coffee.
soup, butter in my coffee. Yeah, I was drinking tea, my tea. Yeah, exactly. So I did that for a while. Again, you get some short-term results, and then I would, and nothing was fixing the gut. Finally, like everyone's starting to talk about the carnivore diet. I'm like, this is too much. I never actually felt good about eating meat, but I'm like, because this book came out by Dr. Gundry called The Plant Paradox.
Okay.
And this is where everybody thinks beans are bad for you. So there's 3 chemicals that are what called the enemies, like lectins, phytates, and oxalates. Yeah. And they say like, oh, if you eat these things, the lectins, they prevent you from absorbing nutrients and they damage your gut.
The anti-nutrients.
Exactly. Yes. Like gluten is a lectin. So peanuts have lectins. So they're like, so this guy, Dr. Gundry, comes out with this book and it tells you basically like, take the skin off your cucumber, take out the seeds, don't eat tomato seeds.
And people get religious about things.
I fell into it too. I kept falling into these things and
interesting.
I'm like, maybe that's going to fix my gut. Oh, it's the lectins. That's the problem.
Right.
So like, don't eat chia seeds. So I was like, following this, and then there was this guy named Joel Green. This is now the lockdowns have happened. This guy, Joel Green, really smart guy. Like, shout out to him. He's brilliant. And he starts talking about fiber. Like, he's eating meat and eggs and everything, but he's saying you could, like, the carnivore is the worst idea. Like, you need he's been on Ben Greenfield. He's been on a lot of shows.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy's great. It was lockdowns. We're all just like sitting around learning. So I start doing his stuff and I was feeling better. I was like, this is amazing. Then I meet this woman, a doctor named Dr. Shanhong Liu. She's from China, but she has an MD. She has a history. Like, her family did Chinese medicine.
Okay.
She came to America, got a PhD in physiology. So she's studying the cells. Like, she's brilliant. And she did, like, worked in the hospitals. She worked in the, private clinics. She's trying to actually get people healthy.
Yes.
As opposed to her colleagues who just wanting to get as rich as possible.
Right. She's in the field.
Yeah, she's in the field
front
and she's
line.
watching, like, none of this is working. This medicine is not working. So she decides, I'm going to figure out what works. And she went off on her own, started her own clinic, and spent so much time with the patients that she almost lost all her money. She was not making money. And she also wasn't satisfied with the results she was getting. She still wasn't happy.
She's an artist, a true artist.
Yeah, she's a healer. She's a true loving person. Yeah, she's one of my heroes. And
Did she figure it out?
well, she did. She
Oh,
did.
my goodness.
So through a whole bunch of circumstances, she realized we are swimming in toxins. Like, you might have heard of glyphosate. I'm sure you don't use it in your garden, right?
Oh my goodness.
So it's the most sprayed chemical ever, right? They say it's safe, but they've lost billion-dollar lawsuits. And it's literally in everything.
Because it bioaccumulates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fat soluble, so it's very hard to get out of your cells. And like,
I've met people who flew the planes and
Yeah.
sprayed it. They got messed up, bro.
Yeah,
They're, like,
exactly.
seeing doctors. It's real.
yeah,
Glyphosate.
And Florida, sadly, is very high in glyphosate. So, but there's even more chemicals at this. So she realized there's a connection between disease and these chemicals.
And these toxins.
Yeah. Heavy metals. So she does have protocols to measure the toxins and how to remove it. I can give you a link to her stuff.
That's amazing.
But so I'm like, oh my God, it was just making so much sense. And I love this woman. I finally found a mentor in this field. Yeah,
I've had
guru.
some of those,
I met
brother.
my guru. But here's the
We
funny.
should give people the juice. You could send me the link.
Yeah,
We'll put
absolutely.
it,
I'd love to. Yeah,
for sure.
And I could introduce. She'll come here. She'll visit here.
Amazing.
Like, hopefully, like in the spring, but if not in the fall, she's gonna come. You'd love her. But here's the thing. This is the funniest part of the story. Is like, after I'm like blown away from her, she goes, "Oh, and you should try the whole food plant-based diet." And I was like, just reading about how bad the lectins are and how we need animal protein and all this stuff. I'm like, what? I thought you were so smart. Like, don't you know that that's like been debunked? And she was like, no, Jason, I've studied this. I work with hundreds of patients. I know this works. I'm like, so I start spitting all of the talking points that I had heard.
The keto type.
Exactly. Like, well, what about this? Isn't it too many carbs? What about the lectins? And every single thing I said, she had the response, and she was just like debunking everything I said in real time. Wow. And I was like, wow.
She said that at the end of the whole deal. She was like, really plant-based.
Well, this was like our third conversation. I was like getting so into what she was doing, and I was like watching all her videos. And then that was like the last thing she says. And I was like, what? So we get into this heated argument. And then after we get off the phone, I was like, my ego was still like, no.
Yeah.
But part of me was defeated. I knew she won.
Wow.
But then I thought about it. I couldn't get out of my head. Like, maybe she's right. Like, maybe I've been wrong all this time and all this, right?
Right.
And then I said to her, okay, I'll try it for 10 days because she had this 10-day cleanse. Like, I'll do the 10-day cleanse. I go up to Asheville. I do the 10-day cleanse. And I love plant foods, by the way, but I was afraid of them. I was afraid of carbs. So I start eating what she recommends, and I'm eating brown rice. I'm like eating all this stuff I've always loved. Because I didn't even tell you, I lived in 16 countries and studied traditional cooking. So they eat a lot of carbs and fiber, but I have been I got to do the paleo. I got to eat what our ancestors.
Right.
10 days, within those 10 days, for the first time, my gut felt better. Wow. And then I was like, what is going on here? Like, I thought I was going to have so many problems. I start doing the research. I come across this book called Fiber Fueled, and it's latest research on how the fiber affects you. And that was how I started to become the fiber king. And that was like almost 5 years ago. And it's just been, health keeps getting better and better. I've worked with people. I see the results. So
you came home from, that's an amazing story.
that's
man.
my story.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
You went to Asheville. You had all these nourishing foods. You wanted to keep it going.
Oh yeah.
Keep it going.
Well, after that, I never went, I just kept eating whole food, plant-based diet. Like I stayed with it.
That's good. There you have it, guys. Fiber King's take. That's good. Plant powered. That's the way.
There are some good points, to the carnivore, but
by the way, it always comes back to this. Other people, there's different body types
right.
from other places. Who knows?
Exactly.
But
I try to just stay out of the argument.
Yeah.
I just want to share my story.
I shouldn't even frame it like that. But no, exactly, bro. Thank you.
But trust me, no, it's a heated space, like this food
right?
thing. Like you say, I just tell people what I eat, and they want to fight me. Like I didn't even finish my sentence. Like, but what about this? And that's what I did to Dr. Lou. So I'm getting it back.
And I got some friends who are like, it's biblical. We shouldn't eat, meat. And people were like, you're, supporting factory farms. And I get it. I get all of it. But bro, it's so true. Like, I mean, people heal themselves from vegan, juice cleanse. They'll literally get rid of cancer and stuff.
Have you heard of Hippocrates Center right here?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that.
I just went there for the first time. It's a crazy story.
It's amazing, right?
It was amazing, yeah. And what's amazing is people, I mean, it's been around for like 30 years, I guess. People go there with cancer and they leave. Stage 4 cancer. I've met people.
And it's done. They don't have it. Bro, yeah, so you just went there.
Like I got introduced to someone who works there. And then I met him in person at the Dancing Elephant bookstore.
Classic.
Yeah, I love it.
He's awesome.
Yeah, of course. Then
shout out Connor. We love you.
and Shane.
Yeah.
And then we went to and then I find out my friend who has been sick for years. He's tried everything. He was on the carnivore diet for 3 years. And I'm like, try the plants. He's like, no, I'm lectins. I can't eat plants. He tells me I'm going to Hippocrates. I would never have expected. The same week I met this guy, I'm like, wow, I got to go to Hippocrates. Like, So I went there on Monday.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You just went.
Yeah, just went.
Did you eat the lunch? I haven't had the lunch
I had
yet.
the dinner.
Amazing.
It was like.
It was good.
20 different types of sprouts. Like vegetables from the garden. Some of it's brought in like beet leaves. Like, I mean, I'm sure you have some of the cool stuff. That's why I'm so excited. Like, remember, the more diverse fiber plants you eat, the more diverse your gut's going to be. So like all the stuff that you're growing is going to make my gut more diverse. Cause like, just getting more. I can't wait.
Feast out there. But they grow their own sprouts. That's cool. I don't they had it on deck, like a buffet of sprouts.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Like, yeah, sprouts is, something everybody can start doing.
Yeah, totally. So where have you traveled to? That's interesting. Okay. I've traveled a bunch too.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Urban Abundance. We help people grow food at home. And if that's something you're interested in doing, or maybe you don't know where to get started, or it's really overwhelming, but you want to grow food, give us a call today. We help you design, install, and maintain your garden. We do fruit trees, we help you with maintenance, and we just really want to make sure you're getting the result you want and you're growing food. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below and get on your garden design phone call today. Let's get back to the video.
So I went to Japan when I was like in 7th grade. It's a crazy story. Just like it was an exchange program. Somehow I got selected. So I got to go to Tokyo when I was like, 13 years old. And that planted the seed,
You were like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, and I grew up in a really diverse place in New York. So like my neighbor was Filipino. I had Haitians across the street.
New York City?
Staten Island. So it's kind of, I call it, it's technically New York City, but I call it New Jersey.
Yeah,
but I grew up I did live in Queens and like Manhattan, Brooklyn. So yeah, man, I would go all over Chinatown. And even as a kid, part of my story too, my father just loved going to Chinatown and like in Edison, New Jersey, it's all Indians. Like we'd show up and they'd be like, what the hell are you doing here? Right? But then we go to the supermarkets.
My boy Billy's from there. He told me that. He's like, bro, it's all Indians.
I mean,
whole day. He's from the town over or something.
It's changed. Even now it's a little bit more diverse. But
that's funny.
So like, what were you asking?
So you were just, you were around different
traveling,
cultures.
Yeah. So I just always loved different cultures. my background is psychology. So I was obsessed with, I had panic attacks also. I had gut issues and panic attacks.
No way.
So I got into psychology at a young age, and I wanted to be a psychologist. So I was studying, I had like top grades, like I was going for grad school, doing research. And then I realized like this whole psychology model is just fixing problems.
Yeah.
It's not about the mind. And all of the teachers and the mentors I had were all crazy. I realized like, I don't want to be like this.
No, right. It's just deliberating at some point.
Yeah.
Like, what are we here to do? Right. That's
So-
what's
so-
like, dude, I love that, by the way. My boy Jared would love this. I got it.
And it sent me into really going into Buddhism and Eastern psychology. So I had this idea, like, I'm going to become a Buddhist monk. So I got to learn Japanese. So
Wait, what brought you to Buddha? Why that?
oh man,
instead of
that's a
like-
whole nother podcast, honestly. But like when I was like really little, like my Filipino friends would go to Chinatown and they would get, their older brother would get these kung fu movies, these dubbed kung fu movies, and we would watch them. And when I would see the monks and they would talk about Buddha, I would be like, this just felt so familiar.
Wow,
I found out later on
truth.
I'm a reincarnated Tibetan, so that's why I'm so attracted to it. Maybe that's true. I don't
This
know.
podcast awesome. Man.
I'm all over the place. No, so basically, like I wanted to, I got attracted to Buddhism. I wanted to understand the mind, and I just went. I dropped the psychology. I mean, I finished my major, and I went to Japan.
You didn't want to deal with the mind. That's where you're coming from.
No, I wanted to deal with the mind, but I felt like the Buddhist approach to it was much more of an accurate understanding of the mind.
Got it.
Where we were like I was working in research, and we're like studying things and we're putting it into things. And then you could actually use, like in research, like studies, you can change variables to get your results that you want. Wow. So I was like, this is crazy.
Right.
Like, whereas the Buddhists, like the monks, for 2,500 years, there's a tradition of student to teacher, passing it down, of sit with your mind, study your mind, and here's some maps. That's what Buddhism is. It's a bunch of maps.
Yeah.
Like, look for this place. Go in your mind and see if you could find this place, and see if you could feel what this emotion is, and learn firsthand experience. So, like psychologists now, like you don't. Like they don't really interact. They're there to like listen to you and tell you like, here's what I think you should do.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not how the Eastern approach is. The Eastern approach is a real fellowship with your teacher.
Interesting.
And yeah, so
Yeah, it's more of like a fellowship.
yeah, mentorship, fellowship.
And interesting. It's not like a hey, this is what you got to go do. Here's your directions
No.
for the week.
It's riddles. So,
Interesting.
but if you but
And
as
by
far
the
as
way, the answers might come from within, like you said, with meditation.
Mm-hmm. It's all within.
But go on, dude. So you want to be a Buddhist,
so I want to be a Buddhist
monk?
monk. But it gets crazy. I go to Japan.
Okay.
I get really, I do study the Buddhism in my academia, and I would visit temples, but Japan is not a very Buddhist country anymore. They're like here. It's like,
It's modern.
it's very modern. Yeah.
They're like hard on their kids. It's
Oh
like-
yeah.
We love everybody. We love you.
Yes, we
Japanese
love each
people.
other. No, I have a special place in my heart for Japan, for real. I lived there 2 years. I wound up living there for 2 years. But the crazy thing is, this goes back to my food story. So
Can you speak Japanese?
I used to be pretty fluent, and I was a translator. So I went from like, I'm gonna be a Buddhist monk, but like the pressure from my parents to like, you're gonna graduate and you're gonna get a good job, like that was still in me. So I was like, okay, I'll be a Buddhist. I'll be a Japanese translator.
Got you.
You
It was
know,
like
and I was hoping to translate video games. That was my dream.
Interesting.
Was to translate Japanese video games.
To still like appease them, but be able to go travel. and
Exactly. But I
be a
knew
Buddhist monk.
it felt like my time was limited. So but in Japan, this is another cool part of the story, is I taught English on the side, and I taught this woman, Japanese, very wealthy woman. And we would start getting into these great conversations, and I told her how much I love cooking. So she would take me to all these nice restaurants, right? Then I was like, I want to learn how to make this. And then she would show me how to make things. And before you know it, I'm learning all these traditional Japanese foods. Wow. Then I go to Thailand. And when I'm there, I meet some young guys, and it's like, what do you want to do in Thailand? I'm like, I want to meet your grandmother, and I want to learn traditional food.
That's what you told them?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we did it. And that started this tradition. I went to Egypt. I went to Israel, Cyprus. I spent a lot of time in Argentina. I was telling Marco, I spent a lot of time in Argentina, all over.
Wow.
Everywhere I went, I was like, I want to meet your grandmother. I want to learn the traditional food. And that's what I did.
They would do it.
And they would do it. And I went to India. Like I
Or
learned.
you learned some wisdom that way.
Yeah.
They
And then when
started
I was in
doing
South
it-
America, like I would notice like this was also a big game changer for me was we get sick. You get a stomach ache in Peru, right? You're in the mountains. They're like, oh, have some manzanilla, have some chamomile tea. So I was like, I'm also very into herbalism, which turns
Yes.
out herbs have a tremendous effect on your microbiome.
Interesting.
So they
right?
eat fiber, but they also eat something called polyphenols, like the different colors, like blueberry color, the orange. The microbiome eat that too. And so it's like
The
polyphenols.
polyphenols.
The polyphenols. So these tea and polyphenols do so much more. Like when you drink a cup of high antioxidant tea, like clove, hibiscus, these things are off the chart. Like blueberries are very high.
I was about to say like a bowl of mulberries.
Oh
would
yeah,
go all day.
Exactly. And what happens when you eat antioxidants like polyphenols? They get into your bloodstream, and everything we do creates these things called free radicals, which is just rusting. Think about like when you leave metal out, it rusts. This rust damages all the tiny little capillaries, right? So when you're drinking high polyphenol drinks and food, they literally bind to the free radicals so they can't harm you. So it's like an inner force shield protecting you. So drinking teas all day, which again, traditional cultures did, is like protecting you. And like skin, like if you want, like I always try to tell women, if you want to have good skin, it's not what you put on your skin, it's what you eat. If you eat high polyphenols, like the Japanese have great skin. They drink green tea all the time. It's super high in polyphenols.
That's what they say. The gut affects the acne
Oh yeah.
of the skin.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your skin and your gut are completely connected.
That's so cool about the polyphenols fighting off, saving the cells.
Exactly.
Dude, I'm glad I asked you about traveling. Yeah, because that's important to me too. I learned so much
Oh, yeah.
on the road. And like not just the knowledge, like, hey, here's how to cook this type of, pad thai or whatever deliciousness they had going, and the special ingredients, right? The Thai basil, this, lime.
It's like when you're with somebody too,
That's what I was
there's something extra. It's not just the recipe. People ask me for recipes all the time. Like, I don't want to do recipes. I want to show you.
Yeah.
Because you really get something, like the little nuances.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, doing it together too. It's like, I was thinking, it's like, it's a special thing. It's like your family, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's like, here,
Sadly,
tribe.
we don't have this tradition anymore of like, passing that down to your children. Like, like I love fermentation, and I call it like it's a dying art.
Totally.
Before refrigerators, everyone fermented. All of our great grandmothers were fermenting. You know what I mean? So like,
you're a fermenter, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ken and I, we whip it up. He was on here talking about kimchi. We brought kimchi on.
Nice.
What'd
I
you
got
bring
some for you. I
brought
brought you some. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Bro, we're spoiled. You brought this amazing cracker.
Oh yeah.
So good, guys.
Thank you.
What's in this here? This
So
cracker?
I made pumpkin seed milk, and the leftover pulp from that, which is full of fiber, I blend it with flax seeds, which are also very high in fiber and also omega-3s. That's a whole nother thing.
This is leftover pumpkin seed milk spent.
Exactly. With
flax?
flax seeds,
Okay.
nutritional yeast. I don't know if you guys know about nutritional yeast, but I make a joke when people say, oh, you got to get fiber from steak. Steak is mostly fat. Eggs are mostly fat. Salmon, all these things, these nutritional yeast is pure protein and fiber. And it tastes like cheese. I mean, it's so good.
It's like Parmesan.
But it's literally, I have this chart that I show when I do some presentations, and I show how much protein is in steak. Nutritional yeast like blows it off the charts.
Yeah, so cool. So what is nutritional yeast?
I don't even exactly know. It's a yeast, so it's in the mushroom family, and they just grow it off like molasses, I think, But it's just, it's got B vitamins. It's just amazing. So people tell me, oh, I did vegan diet. I didn't do well. I'm like, were you eating flax seeds? Because if you're not eating a lot of flax seeds, you're probably not getting enough omega-3s. Hemp seeds are my favorite food. I could talk for an hour about hemp seeds. They're just like an alien. Like, doesn't make any sense, that whole plant.
There's a reason that plant, they don't want it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's magic.
It is magic. It's actually good for the soil. Probably better than me. It's like one of the only things that makes the soil better, But so they're not getting it, and the nutritional yeast. If you're not getting that nutritional yeast,
you're not doing vegan right.
And I also and I also think there's something called the umami flavor. You know the umami flavor?
Yeah.
Like it's what MSG is. So I feel like
Interesting.
this is my theory.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's actually a nutrient. So when you taste that MSG, monosodium glutamate, that glutamate is a chemical which is actually has effects on your mind actually. So my theory is people who go vegan and they're like eating boring salads and they're not getting that umami flavor. Like my food, like people eat my food, they don't feel like they're missing meat or
That's
cheese
right.
because I'm using nutritional yeast. I'm using
And the
fermented
dressing
stuff.
and
Exactly.
yeah.
So I feel like that there's a way to do it right. So
It's true.
Yeah, I'm trying to show people how to do it right. Like it's delicious. It's gonna make you get muscles. You know, everything you need. Like I know I'm good friends with. Shout out to Jeff Palmer. He is 61 years old. He's been fully vegan 41 years. He's jacked. He's 61-year-old jacked bodybuilder,
Wow.
and he's brilliant. His mind. He's on no medications.
Wow.
So
Jeff Palmer. Pretty cool.
I'll introduce you. He's actually in local.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man. Yo, that's just, I'm thinking about it now. There's such a difference. Like if I came and ate with you, which we're going to do after this, I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
That needs that's like a vessel for kimchi. That thing right there, that's so good. But yeah, like I think about how there's like a Cisco salad, right? Just sad, bro. Just, what we grow up with. Like you go to a pizza place, get a side salad, that's what it is. And then a salad we can make.
Oh, yeah.
Hemp seeds, nutritional yeast, all this deliciousness from the garden and herbs to add to it. You have 15 different ingredients.
Exactly.
It's just, man.
That's the key.
It really is.
And here's a crazy sad fact.
Biodiversity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Think about
go.
about how. Yeah, exactly. They recommend the 15 a day is a good guideline. I've seen that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Did you just come up with that?
I just said that.
Okay, because
yeah.
there's actually a movie on Netflix, and that's exactly what they say. But
Wow.
Here's the thing. So people are getting sick like crazy. I mean, it's so sad. I mean, young people, cancer rates are skyrocketing, and like, why don't we just try the food, right? Well, here's an interesting fact. 97% of Americans are not getting the bare minimum of fiber. 97%. That means only 3%. And the bare minimum for a man is like 32 grams. And for women, it's like 28 grams. And you get like 5 grams in an apple. So think about it. You eat a bowl of oats, you eat an apple, and you eat some beans. Like my mission is to get Americans to eat more beans. Like that is so like that's really like that's really where that's what we're missing. All these like South American, these poor countries, India, South America, they're so poor, but they live really well. We're doing really bad because they eat a lot of beans and they get a lot of fiber.
Man, yeah, food could change it. We don't have to spend all this money on healthcare and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right, man. I heard this one time at this smoothie bar in Boulder. He was like, "Yo, you could pay for it now,
Exactly.
pay for it later." I like that.
It's so true. And the thing is, it's like it's not even like it's going to be suffering. Like when you eat the food that I make, if you go to a good whole food plant-based chef, like it's absolutely delicious and
Amazing.
And again, we were talking earlier. There is a transition period because if you've been feeding the microbiome junk food, McDonald's, well, guess what? There's some bacteria out there that like McDonald's, and you're going to breed them. So now you have in your gut this sterile environment of these like sad bacteria that like McDonald's, right? So guess what? They communicate to you. So you have this habit. Wow. It's not just mental. It's also in your gut. You're having these bacteria. They're saying, get me McDonald's, get me McDonald's. And your mind is like, I want McDonald's. so like,
yo, it's real what we're saying, bro.
It's literally real.
They stop eating McDonald's. 3 hours later, they want more McDonald's.
Exactly. So my recommendation is not like quit eating McDonald's.
Yeah.
Just start bringing in a little bit of fiber. In fact, if you go too quickly with the fiber, you're going to get bloating. Because why is that? Because you don't have the bacteria to break down the fiber. So it's like when you go to the gym, you're not going to start with the heaviest weights. So yeah, I'm eating like 60, 75 grams of fiber a day. Think about it. The average American's not even getting 32.
They're not getting
so I'm
20,
doubling.
yeah.
So I'm not just in the top 3%. I'm in like the top 1% of like the 3%, So it's
By
like,
lunchtime,
and it's
you
not
got
hard
it.
to do. It's not even, exactly. It's not even hard to do.
Wow. So what would you say is the best way to do it? Say people eat McDonald's, that's fine. Do whatever you need to do. We don't promote that.
Right.
It's all good. I don't promote a lot of things. But hey, how can they add fiber?
Here's the first step.
Yeah. Delicious.
Eat an apple every day.
An apple.
Eat one apple a day. Because the apple skin has a particular type of fiber that feeds a bacteria called the Akkermansia, which is called the keystone bacteria.
The acromancy.
Yeah, it's spelled like Akkermansia.
Okay.
I call it Akkermansia. That bacteria, all the other bacteria depend on that bacteria. It's so important that in human breast milk, there's a certain type of thing called HMO, human milk oligosaccharides, which feeds the Akkermansia, and it forms a healthy gut. So if you're not breastfeeding, your gut is automatically going to be compromised.
You're missing that.
But you can. They do have supplements. You can supplement with this.
The HMO.
The HMO. But the cool thing is, apple skin, cranberries, and like pomegranate feed that bacteria.
Is that right?
So like,
Man, this stuff goes way deep. Yeah, it's so cool. Apple skin does.
yeah. So if you peel the apple skin off, you're not getting the benefits. So even if you're eating the junk, right?
My whole thing is, yeah, exactly. That was my question. Like, I don't eat a lot of apples. But by the way, we got to start eating them fiber, guys. Fiber. But here's what I would say. The reason is because I get worried at the GMOs and the non-organic.
Well,
You can get organic ones, but
that's why we need you to keep growing it. But like, yeah, my real vision, and I see it so possible because of people like you. It's like, have you been to Bednar's too?
yeah.
Yeah. So like
we know Bednar's.
they connect with farms that don't use pesticides, you know?
Yes.
So I would love to see a distribution system like Amazon, but it's all farmers from all over America.
I agree,
so in the summer, all the stuff is growing up north. There's a whole way to us to get the
And the urban abundance gardens are popping.
Exactly.
And Bednar's and backyard.
So imagine if like you could have it delivered to your door, food that was picked in like the tomatoes in New York and New Jersey are the best.
Yeah, I've heard,
Like these little orange tomatoes that my cousin grows, like literally it's a psychedelic experience. I was in a bad mood.
People come down here, they're like, hey, it doesn't grow like the Hamptons,
Yeah.
like the New Jersey.
It's
and
true.
I get it.
It's possible. Maybe we could pull it off, but
The cherries go hard here because it's like from Israel. I think the cherry tomato.
the cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, the ones that show up here.
And then we have a similar climate, but the tomatoes are a northern.
Right. So imagine if like you're getting to your door
Yes.
tomatoes that were picked the day before. You're getting arugula, and then people in the
Why
north.
not, man? Like, bring it in. Atlantis used to have it going on, supposedly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Let's get our together.
Look,
bro.
it's coming. It's really, I really do feel like this is another podcast.
We need to, yeah, exactly. We need to get organized because these Coca-Colas and whatever, these other food systems. That's why I want to make this company, dude. Because I'm like, we need more sourcing at farms and stuff and closer to source, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's coming again. Like you're playing your role. Remember, we're all these individual bacterias, right? We're doing
all unique, brother.
Exactly. And you ever hear of Jim Gale of Food Forest Abundance?
Yes.
I'm friends with him. I've actually done a food event at his place.
Cool,
So
man.
he's doing his thing out there. You're doing your thing here.
I've talked to him on the phone. Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's go visit him.
I'm down.
So the next big thing that hits on a big level, I think that's going to be the dividing line. When the people who are like, I want my own food, some people are going to be in complete fear. And other people who are like, no. And I think, I believe in
And they'll embrace. They'll say, hey, okay.
Like,
let's
and you
get
know
chickens.
what? We just need to work together. We just need to bring out our uniqueness. And it's going to be, we're all working on it.
Yeah.
But something's going to happen that's going to push us into it. I see that happening within 2 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Putting it out there. Dude, I do too. Everything's accelerating.
Yeah. So focus on your inner community,
Yeah.
feed your gut good, and your emotions
Wow, thank
completely
you, bro.
affect your gut. So emotions and community. That's my whole mission. Your outer community and your inner community.
Our environment and then our inner community, our microbiome.
Exactly.
We could control
That's what we have control over.
Control that,
Instead of
brother.
like watching the news and Twitter all day long and complaining and like worrying about what's going to happen and things we have no control over. You can control what you eat.
Wow.
You can control who you hang out with.
I love that,
Yeah.
man. And by the way, you've been great, man. Thanks for coming today.
Oh, it's been awesome.
good.
Thank
you. We gotta have you back. You know,
Anytime.
I can tell we got similar network. It's beautiful, man. But exactly like you're saying, Jim's doing his thing. You're cooking. There's the growing, right? There's the cooking. There's so many layers to it all.
Yeah, everybody's like thinks of me as like, you must grow food. No, I'm in kindergarten, and I need you guys to teach me. You gave me those plants. I started growing them.
Good.
Like, my goal is to really do it this time.
Good.
I've tried so many times, and I always, I'm too busy cooking. I'm neglecting the growing part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
That's all it is, a daily practice, weekly. It's just like anything. Oh, I used to do yoga. How many people used to have a garden? Like 10, 20 years ago. It's like not doing yoga for 10 years. But it's a practice, right? Yeah.
And I'll say one thing that Jim Gale always says: liberate your lawn. Think of how crazy it is that we're growing grass everywhere.
Yeah.
That could be food.
Bro, preach. Everyone I think who watches my show believes that. Like, that's
it's like there's a lot of conspiracies out there. That is almost the number one in my book. Like, we have convinced ourselves that we need to grow this thing that we have to mow and put glyphosate on to get rid of the weeds.
I think you might be right, bro. It's like outsource everything we need to somewhere else.
Yeah.
And let's just poison our area.
Yeah.
Like,
and go to a job you hate so you can go get food at a supermarket when you could have just grown it at your house with your kids.
Who knows? Yeah, it could be that. It could be conspiracy. It could be, this is what we do here, guys. But no, or it could be literally we thought it would be better for us, but we don't know. Like you said,
it could. Whatever it is, we got it. We know what makes sense now. So let's just do it.
Yeah, let's grow, man.
Let's grow.
Let's do it. Yeah, so good today. Thank you for coming, man. We talked fiber. We talked microbiology. Your travels, bro. So good. Your experience in Asheville. So thank you for sharing, bro. I think people got a lot out of today. Is there anything else you want to share with the world?
Well, thank you, man. This has been so much fun. And
I'm glad.
I'm going to end on the same note I kind of started with. Like, it's like, it's all about community, the inner community in your gut and the outer community. So just every time you eat, just know you're not just eating for you. You're eating for trillions of other living beings that depend on you. So, and you're creating an environment. So bring that awareness, bring that consciousness into everything you eat. Is this going to make me healthier, or is this going to make me more unhealthy? And then do the same thing with your local community. There's so many things with like Twitter and Netflix. Like, people are on their phones like 9 hours a day, the young kids, right? So think about that. So when you have no phone, that's 9 extra hours. What were we doing? We were like outside playing with people and stuff. And so I think there's a lot of inertia to keep us, isolated more and more and more. And it's going to get crazier.
Interesting.
When they get the glasses coming out.
That's right, bro.
So you're going to be able to put this on, and the AI is going to generate things for you. So the temptation.
It's like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah.
That's wild.
So the temptation, the dopamine you can get is going to be very irresistible. Wow. But it's dopamine. It's not real happiness, satisfaction. That only comes from community. That only comes from bringing your uniqueness amongst other beings and sharing. Then we can create something way bigger.
That only comes from community.
Yes.
It can't come. That's dopamine. That's false.
Exactly.
It's like being dope sick or something. It's like suffering, bro.
It's cocaine addiction.
Wow,
Yeah.
bro. Wow. Dude, so good. That's why I love the markets where we met, by the way.
Hell yeah.
Community, man. Connectedness. Mm-hmm. Let's get more of it. So
Fellowship.
Good. Yeah. It's like the Fellowship of the Ring.
Hell yeah, exactly.
What was that one that was feeding your gut? Amoxicillin.
Oh, the Akkermansia. That's the one ring, exactly. Like the Akkermansia, like you have the Akkermansia bacteria.
Yeah.
It creates a mucosal lining in your colon, and all the other bacteria live in that lining and eat it. So the apple, it's really important to have that Akkermansia. And by the way, you can get tests. I can put a link also. There are ways to test your microbiome, but my recommendation is don't get it tested right away. Start with the apple, start bringing some beans. And last piece of advice. If people are like, oh, I can't eat beans, it makes me fart. I'm like,
Sure.
Start with 5 beans. Just take 5 beans and eat them with your meal. And you're starting to slowly change the soil, right? You're changing the soil, and you're gonna build it up like you're going to the gym. You put heavier weights on.
That's it.
5 beans, 6 beans. You just get it until you can feel good.
Good, bro. Yeah, guys, don't be so hard on yourself, man. Let's make progress. Cook it up. It's fun, man. It's fun. Dude, thank you for coming out. That's it. We shut it down. Fiber King, thank you.
My pleasure, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Hey guys, another awesome video. Thank you for watching and all your support. Hey, do me a favor, click the like and subscribe button down below if you haven't already. It goes a long way. We'll see you in the next one.